All righty, Bills Mafia, welcome back. It is Trainwreck Sports, and we are here breaking down the Hard Knocks Episode 2. Slick, tonight, obviously, a pretty fast-paced episode. We were jumping character to character, storyline to storyline.
Yeah, a lot of storylines, a lot of big ones, too. You obviously saw the emergence of the James Cook contract negotiations, a lot of the Damar Hamlin story. We'll get into all that, but I was just amazed at how the episode started with McDermott calling back to his junior year of high school. It was like the junior prom all over again, Maniac.
This is just proof that everything always goes back to your junior year. We'll see if that is also the case with our co-panelist, our co-breakdown panelist here for the Hard Knocks episode. We got Matty D over at Dude Champions. Thank you for joining us, sir. By the way, I hear you've been doing some heavy lifting tonight.
Yeah, some tires, gotta lift those tires, gotta get some workouts in, right? But no, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. I mean, breaking down stuff with you guys, doing MafiaCon with you guys, everything has been great. So we've kind of proved that everybody can coexist in some way, shape, or form.
Listen, ain't no. It's always good to get a bag. It's easier when we all work together. But that's what the Bills are trying to do at camp as we get into episode 2.
Everyone loves the bag, and as the Bills say, everyone eats, and that goes likewise in the Buffalo sports media world. And hopefully the same this year as well. Obviously, big new receiver room, a little bit of new looking offense, but the mentality looks to stay the same as Mike Bunt has asked these guys about.
So we got in tonight's episode, Matt. Obviously, it was kind of like the story medley. These were, I feel like, the big stories going into the Hard Knocks season. You have Buffalo Joe, you had Damar, and then obviously you kind of had the Ray Davis kicker situation, and James Cook, like you said, kind of come to the surface. Going into it as we get to break down everything, what stuck out to you most about this episode?
It was more just the personalities of the guys that, like, you just see that some of these guys, Josh has a personality. You saw him on, with some of his clips from Bustin' of the Boys that came out earlier today, and then you saw it on Hard Knocks, but, that's separate. We knew Josh was the biggest character in probably the NFL, but now you kind of see how Ray Davis, his personality kind of opened up a little bit. You saw James Cook, not much, but he showed a little bit of personality where he's not like a dry napkin, and then I'm trying to think. And then I loved hearing Sean McDermott, like you guys said it already in the beginning, the chair through the window, that was great. That was great.
Yeah. It was that was almost like him breaking the fourth wall of coaching, because like that's a move. Like losing his shit and getting pissed is a move. And he pulled back the curtains.
And it all related. The whole point, if we go back to it, was consistency. You can my coach can do that one week, but he can't come in and do that the next week and have the same effect on the guys. Right. And this is a guy that's consistent as it gets. The other team could score a touchdown, and he's over there. All right, folks, let's go, gentlemen. Like, that's the most consistent guy on the sideline I've seen. So for him to say that, very powerful way to start the episode. And shine. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I had a coach. No. I had a coach like that. My high school football coach was very much like that. It was very stoic the entire time. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about as well is with James Cook. His stuff. When you hear the difference between the way Sean McDermott talks about him compared to the way Brandon Beane does, Brandon Beane is like all love for James Cook, and then McDermott's like, the dad on the sideline. Oh, maybe, maybe he'll get a rushing touchdown today. Maybe he'll do that. It's just kind of like, it feels like a mom and dad type situation where they're like, one's You're like right. very.
They typically move in lockstep. Like when one of them says something, the other typically breaks up, and that makes it all the more crazy. Slick that they seem to be doing a little good cop, bad cop when it comes to James Cook. It seems like, obviously, like you said, Matt, Brandon's the guy who's looking at the overall picture. Yeah, we want James to be in that red, white, and blue of Buffalo next year. But yeah, you have McDermott who's like, we need to start seeing some results on this field right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely is interesting, because I wasn't even as thrown off as I thought I would be by the introduction of the James Cook stuff into the episodes. It seemed like even on the Hard Knocks aspect, I could be in the complete other direction of other people here that watch this episode. But at least to me, it didn't seem like everyone was like too panicked about how he was handling it. They were like very happy, still sitting down watching film with the guys. The big thing McDermott was saying was like literally doing everything but practicing.
Yeah.
And right. I felt more concerned about what he said about Cole Bishop. today.
That was
today than like what he was
sure.
saying in the episode about James Cook. So I really don't know where it stands. It just seems like a big blank space that we won't figure out until it's written in paper.
That could also just jump in, Matt. Jump in.
No. I was just going to say it's either going to end with a contract or it's going to end 2 years from now with him not being on the Bills, because they still hold contract control of him this year and then can franchise him next year as well, and without costing them too much more money. And they might not want him to play on the franchise tag, but if they want him here and they want him here that bad, they might not have any other option.
Yeah, might not have any other option. Speaking of options, HBO Hard Knocks chose to go with the Buffalo Joe option for our main story tonight, obviously featuring the family, featuring the background, everything like that. So we're going to answer the first and foremost question here, Matt. Has Buffalo Joe gotten better looking since last year? Because this was a topic at Sports City when we were watching the episode. I think that, the contract money, the exposure on HD camera 24/7. I think he's been taking a little bit better care of the face. I think he's been taking the hair product is insane from what I've seen from him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We were at Student and I were at my co-host Student and I were at Jeremy Kelly's football camp. And Joe was there. Buffalo Joe was there, and he just looked completely. Number one, he looked bigger. Number two, he looked completely like acne free, and the hair slicked back and curled, and like he's just like ready to go and hit somebody. So I would give that a 2 thumbs up, a big yes that he has. No homo.
Yeah, no, listen. Hey, listen. We have appreciation for Greg good looking men. We can notice that a man is good looking. That is part of being an individual, for sure.
You just got to put it in words when you see it, when it happens. Joe has definitely leveled up. I know some of his friends from high school. They're blown away by what they're seeing. This guy's turned into a stud.
This guy has turned into a stud. So with that said, turning into a stud on the field. Obviously, we'll kind of jet to the end of the episode here, but surprised to see the reaction from Brandon Beane when he not dropped the interception, but just didn't get to it on that play would be what I would say.
He was there. He was there.
But you saw a reaction from Brandon Beane where he goes, "You got to catch that." And I was kind of surprised to see that fiery reaction from Beane for a preseason game. I guess that's
one of the first that you saw at it too.
I would say my take on that one would be that if it was Matt Milano, he wouldn't necessarily be reacting the same way because he's like, Matt Milano's my guy. Like, I have no questions about a Matt Milano. You want to see a Buffalo Joe make that play, obviously, in the preseason.
Well, and I really, truly think Brandon Beane has become very much a part of Buffalo, right? So I think a kid from Buffalo and everything like that, I truly think that he wants to see him succeed. And I think it's more that and more like more different than like GM energy. Exactly. I think it's more like, get to it,
Yeah. Stuff. Yeah. No, I get that for sure. With the way the fan base has gotten behind Joe, I think Brandon Beane knows like kind of what he means to the fan base if he's there. Like it's possible to come from this city and get to such great heights. So bit of both. Obviously, we know Beane is a competitive guy in himself. I think he just wants for the best for the team. So I kind of agree with both of you guys on that aspect.
Yeah, and then we get into Ray Davis. Like there were some good. There were some good storyline ties from what's happening off the field. They talked about Ray Davis moving into his sophomore season. I was very surprised to hear Ray Davis say that, he kind of felt like he was walking on eggshells last year. And obviously he's talking about the confidence he's feeling this year. If he's feeling confident now after last year, I can't wait to see him on the field. But what'd you think of what we saw from Ray Day in episode 2?
I think Tyler Bass needs to watch his bat. No, I'm only kidding. But no, in all seriousness, like it's nice to have that emergency kicker on the, but also him having a more expanded role with James Cook kind of going through the hold-in process and everything like that. Him having more of a, so hopefully he can kind of grow into what they want him to be. Him losing that almost 20-something pounds. Now he said he's down to 208. So I really think that's going to help him, only help him in the long run, especially if we have to look beyond James Cook.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting too, especially that whole angle where they even showed they went from the James Cook dilemma right to Ray Day, not to make things more dramatic at all, because that's not what Hard Knocks does whatsoever.
You have to think that the Bills saw this cut or whatever, and they went to James People and like, enough is enough.
It speaks volumes when the first scene when they pan to Ray Day is a random fan being like, "Oh, you're going to be number one soon?" And he's immediately like, I love
James Cook's better than it. James Cook's better than me. James Cook's better at that.
Better than me. Like, I want him to be in front of me in this lineup.
Right.
So it is just crazy seeing that play out and knowing all these guys didn't want Hard Knocks to happen and kind of seeing a little bit of why now because they're a little pushing the envelope on the drama just a little bit, Matt.
I mean, let's be serious real quick before you go. But I want to talk about that real quick. Is you got to remember back in like 2007 or whatever, when Darrelle Revis was on and the Jets were on Hard Knocks, and they literally like the whole thing was his holdout, and then the last scene of Hard Knocks is him signing and coming back in in, to the facility and everything. So I mean, it's made for TV drama, like.
100%. It is just crazy too when you're like able to know what days of camp stuff was happening. I was saying this to Maniac when we were watching, and then like seeing how much they produce this on the fly. Yeah, and like they've shown a lot of the footage of camp already, and here we are. We got like 3-4 more episodes, and they've shown a good majority at camp. I know there's still preseason to be had, and there's a lot of content there, but. It is just interesting watching it in real time versus on TV.
Yeah, it is weird. It feels like a different version of the story we've seen. Like, and again, I don't use that right. We've just been fortunate to be at camp a bunch of days. Obviously, we work schedules that are conducive to that. But super excited to obviously see other episodes as we kind of get through our review here. Hard Knocks reaction to episode 2 brought to you by Sports City Pizza, about 1407 Niagara Street. The spot for some of the best wings in Western New York. Wing Wednesday tomorrow. $1 wings for dining. So go take advantage of that. Speaking of taking advantage, KJ Hamler, camera time.
Yeah.
This man paid for it. And I think the easy relatability. I hate to say this because they're both smaller, speedier guys. Isaiah McKenzie. This just feels like we got a rebirth of Isaiah McKenzie on this roster.
Yeah, a little bit. That's kind of what it feels like, and he's that gadget guy that they're trying to find a niche for, to kind of work him into the offense in some way, shape, or form, and he just hasn't gotten there yet. And I think that the wide receiver room is pretty much set, so I can see him making like a practice squad run, but that's probably about his ceiling right now with the way that the team is formulated.
Yeah, it seems like unless he can, like, again, even with McKenzie, McKenzie was doing your punt return, your kick return, and then he was still a gadget, like, offensive guy. It seems like Hamler will have to be doing at least that if he's going to make the team. Because, like you said, yeah, it's valuable real estate, obviously, on this roster. But love the Scooter storyline. When he couldn't figure out how to hold it. The moving out part of camp was some of the best stuff. You saw him with the Scooter. Trey saying that his grandma would be mad at him. For how he was back. I mean, let's face it. We all have some female presence in our life that would get mad at us if we packed wrong or did a wrong process.
That was really funny because whether it was the grandma or the wife, like all the guys' focus was on how their significant other or family member was not going to be happy when they saw on camera in 4K how they were packing their bag.
Yeah. So, well, you guys know, we just as guys throw it in a bag, like whatever. Like we'll take a Topps plastic bag,
When you're packing for the trip versus when you're packing from the trip,
so much more
is
serious.
A world of day. When you're packing from the trip, get it in the you're talking. That's the equivalent of a moving box and your shit. Just get it in there. It doesn't matter how. When you're going on a trip, of course, keep it nice.
For me, leaving the trip is like a matter of can I get these two zippers to connect and touch
do I have everything? And is it in there? Is it going to zip enough for the plane?
Yes, and can I put it in the overhead compartment? A lot of variables, but I mean that's just guys being dudes. But it really funny to see on like that scale and these guys that are making these lump sums of money, it's like still we are just at the end of the day throwing shit in the bag.
And yeah, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. You go, and then we got a new point.
No, just to see the stark difference between the way that Dawson Knox's stuff was packed in the first.
Oh my
God! The way that everything.
Right, and he's saying like my wife is gonna kill me when she sees episode 1 versus 2, and it's just so funny, like humanizing those guys in that aspect, and
that's what this show does. Is it's really like football players. They're just like us, like like they're working to grind out their job, to grind out their reality for sure, and then the little hiccups and the little obstacles they run into with that. Speaking of which, living their life, we got to see McDermott. Some very interesting points about skin cancer in this episode. He got into. It definitely makes a lot of sense now why in those St. John Fisher like sunny 90-degree days he was rocking the full outfits, and obviously the big hat puts a lot of more sense and puts a lot of context into it. With that said, I got to get a little joke in here, or a little humor potential. He did say it's important to have swag, if I caught that correctly. Do we think that was McDermott and how he really feels, or do we think that was a little pandering for the cameras?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think he likes the swag, but I think he likes the way that he dresses. But I also think it was a little bit him propping it up for the cameras.
What I think he's giving a reasonable explanation as to why people think it's a little bit strange. He's always long sleeve bucket hat in the blistering heat, and he's trying to add his dad humor to the situation.
That's a little dad humor.
Make him seem like he's relatable to the rest of the fam. Like
super relatable.
I don't know. I think he's just like. I think he's just being himself. I don't think it's too much like he's trying.
He's being himself with confidence.
I don't think he's trying to like shoot or portray like this message that isn't. I think he's just joking, being himself, and like
I think sometimes,
like we were just saying, like Hard Knocks is showing the human side of him.
There also has to be an aspect, and I say this honestly, that you're in like not a large like dorm room with like a camera crew, and it's like got to be like a little bit like super intimate, and it's just easier to like say something versus not say anything at all, like while you're getting ready, you know what I mean? Like it's just easier to kind of like shoot the shit while you're tying your shoes and everything like that than kind of be like just nothing going on, nothing goes well. My final note from the episode, we can get into kind of the final countdown recap here. The KJ Hamler, I know we already talked about him. The touchdown catch with the audio was fucking hysterical. The shit, we realized he was open. And then the shit when he realized the ball was coming his way. I mean, it's we talk about the players being relatable. That's the most relatable thing I think I've ever seen. So that was just hilarious.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it almost felt like Little Giants, right?
Yes. Wait, I'm Johnny or whatever. Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you guys a question, because right now we'd be coming on like one of the first cut down days, right?
Yeah.
If it wasn't the end of the. Would you rather see the way that it's kind of going now, or would you rather see like how it was before, seeing some of those emotions from the players and seeing those cuts and seeing that type of stuff?
I kind of like what they're doing with it. I think, and especially with the Bills, like I don't know how you guys both feel, but I don't think we're gonna see too many surprise cuts. Like I think we know exactly who is like on. Like this is almost like bracketology with how well structured and organized this roster has been last couple years. Like you kind of know who is 54, 55, et cetera, 53. But yeah, to me, I want to see the personalities. You say I'm not really necessarily worried about the cut down stuff.
Yeah, it seems to me like obviously when you just ask that, I think it would definitely be a lot more tough after you see the personalities of these guys to go on and like who you think is going to make the cut and who is not. But luckily for us as fans and guys that look into the game a bit more than the average fan, I think they haven't highlighted anyone really on the cusp other than KJ Hamler. I mean, I know they're saying Buffalo Joe is like on the cusp, but I think Buffalo Joe's got way better of a shot than or sorry, am I saying KJ? Yeah, KJ.
No, you're right. And that was an interesting point too. If we're talking about roster cutdowns, everything. I never felt like Buffalo Joe was going to enter any danger. I know this is a crazy industry, professional, everything. And maybe that's what he's telling himself. But just with the depth of the roster and everything, I never thought for a second he would be getting cut. Like,
yeah, he beat out. Yeah, he beat out Bale Inspector last year. He's pretty. I think he's pretty much got that backup linebacker job, middle linebacker job sold on himself, and maybe he is just kind of telling himself, so he gets up, because he was through what, 5 years of Bryant, and then UB, and then undrafted, and then had to go to like a local tryout to make a team. Like he's been through it all, so maybe he's just trying to keep himself level-headed, and but who knows? I mean, you can never really go into the mentality of these players, really, and I don't think they can either. But
it just shows how they really exist in their own vacuum to me,
right,
for sure.
Right.
Yeah, him being at UB still feels like a fever dream amongst everything as it broke down, but. Matt, I know we're not all the way wound down with the episode yet, but what would you like to see for maybe episode 3 or episode 4?
I mean, I'd like to see a little bit more like the wide receiver battle, a little bit more than just like the KJ Hamler stuff. I really like seeing like the, how Josh is getting the guys with the offense. Like, you got to go outside. You got to do this. You got to, just talking about the guys with the routes and how they run routes and things like that. I mean, I personally watch this stuff a lot different than other people. Like, I love like the Trey White stuff. I love the personality stuff, but I also like to see, I also like to see the football side of it too, like where they're actually like breaking everything down and, Josh getting everything right and getting everything perfect for the season.
Yeah, I like that. What about you?
I think the biggest thing stand out to me it was a brief little scene, but you saw the guys get chippy in multiple scenes in this episode. But I personally loved the interaction where they were focused on Dion, like highlighting to another lineman about the new guys coming in on the D line trying to face him. He's like, I know they're good, but they don't look like what they think they might think they are yet. 96, Deion Walker, he was pointing him out.
Said 96 and 98 looks scared.
And then, no, he said 96, something about that, but not yet. And then he said 98, you can see that boy is nervous, which pretty funny to see that behind the scenes stuff, that there is that real like battle sense in the trenches on the team, in the practice, especially for the new guys. Like, imagine being Deion Walker and TJ Sanders.
They gotta have the mentality. They gotta have the mentality to step up, because you got Ogunjobi and Hoyt that are out the first 6 weeks. They've been told since they were drafted, we need to rely on rookies right now. Like, and they got to come in, and I can understand it. TJ Sanders is like, I played at small school South Carolina. Like I know it was the Gamecocks. They're not small, they're SEC, but I'm just saying, like, they're not a Bama. They're not an Auburn or anything like that. They're, so.
No, 100%. And Deion's not even like doing a disservice pointing that out. He wants the best for these guys. We've seen all camp. Deion he's basically a player coach
with
for
the
this offensive line.
He absolutely is acting like a player coach. He's basically like telling everyone in the line what to do between reps, for sure. And truthfully, to me, I mean, this is basically just as much rookie hazing as you could have while the Hard Knocks cameras are on. Is basically saying they look nervous. So I love it from Deion, and I think we're going to get on the other side the best result for that out of Sanders and Walker.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. You saw it a little bit in the preseason game. I mean, Deion Walker was the highest rated pass rusher on the Bills. You saw right. TJ Sanders living in the backfield anytime he was in the game. So
very exciting. Well, hey, we're hoping to live in the backfield. Make sure you check out our official Hard Knocks episode 2 power rankings, which are official. Thank you, Adam Beers. Matt, anything else we got going on over at DC for the rest of the week?
Yeah. I mean, we got Whittle 2K and Beyond 716 on tomorrow night, coast to coast, and then you have Pat Bruckness and Tommy Giambra doing their thing on Thursday night, and then you got us on myself and student body writing is going to be missing this week because he's got a prior obligation, but I will be doing that with another one of the co-hosts along there, but Third and Manageable at 9:30 on Saturday night.
All right, folks, you know where to get live Saturday night over at Due Champions. The Bills are due for a championship, so I love the name. But with that said, shout out to Matt Diegert. Where do I land there? Diegert?
It's Diegert.
Okay. I that's on me. That's on me. That's my bad. That's my bad.
He's got a name thing.
I have a name fetish. I love saying them wrong. But huge shout out to Matt D. It's like obviously huge shout out to our sponsor, Sports City Pizza Pub. Let's have a good night now.